right, now we're live. We're live. What's happening? It's old school, new school football. I think you're Jude Allume.
I most definitely am. I think you're an old guy.
And I'm the old guy, formerly known as Wil Masisak. Absolutely. So what's the word? What's the story? What's happening with you? Looking forward to week 1 of the NFL?
Absolutely. I mean, who's not happy about, football coming back? How long is it from Super Bowl to here? About 6 months? Just,
Like an eternity. That's how long it is.
Absolutely. Just holding on to a little free agency and, draft news and things of that nature. But I think, the main course is here. Everybody's ready to get it going. And I think we got a pretty good one to open up the season. We get to see Dallas, which is always relevant for whatever reason. And Tampa Bay, the reigning Super Bowl champions, I think is going to be a good game. I think offensively, Dallas is as good, at least on paper for now, as anybody else in the league. Tampa Bay did a great job bringing back everybody from last season's Super Bowl team. I don't know that I like it. However, I feel like you always want to try and get better. You don't just keep the same team exactly. I get it. You won the Super Bowl with them, but now everybody's just trying to scheme to beat those same guys that you played last year with. But nonetheless, should still be a good team. Will be a good game, and I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
Yeah, well, it feels like Tampa Bay is going to start off on top, and they have nowhere to go but down during the course of the year. But Dallas, I think if you're Dallas, the last thing you really want is to regroup with your first, getting your quarterback back and getting started with the season, playing the champs at home on opening night. I think that's a tall task. So
it's a good measuring stick. Lets you know.
Yeah, well, Dallas might be better equipped to win a big game 2 months from now than they are right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure I feel too good about their chances on Thursday. But hey, it's football, and we'll take it. And always a puncher's chance because they're a team that, in theory, can run the football. But worry a little bit about Dallas's defense against Tampa. That to me is the thing that you're going to have to play out of their minds to keep it a close game. Too many weapons in Tampa. They got a plethora of riches down there. Mm-hmm. But we can break it into our actual prediction for that. But before that, a couple of things to clean up preseason before we start the year on Thursday, and one of them is either unshockingly, if you followed if you think about the Steelers and their inability to guarantee contracts the same way that I'll call it 95% of the other teams in the NFL do, and this whole TJ Watt thing. Mm-hmm. Is it a lot of drama? Is they going to sign like today or tomorrow? What do you think is happening there? I mean, I know I'm the Steelers guy, but I'm asking you from the outsider's perspective. What do you think is going on here?
I mean, you got to look at it. You got to look at it as simply as possible. This is one of the best players, not best defenders, not best defensive linemen / linebackers, one of the best players in the NFL. He's made plays since day one. You've got your starting quarterback, a franchise guy who said, I took less money so guys like him can get paid. I think it's a no-brainer. Like, you have to pay TJ Watt. This is the face of your defense. This is a guy that other teams are going to game plan for. He's going to free up everybody else on that defensive line in that linebacking group. This is a guy you need to keep. This isn't just think of it as like I don't know if it's as big, but it's pretty close. But this is like when the Raiders were letting go Khalil Mack. Now, obviously, everybody's looking back and it's like, man, they probably shouldn't have did that. Steelers Nation, don't let this be you. Keep TJ Watt just like Ben Roethlisberger says. Give him whatever the heck he wants. Right. Well, he shouldn't get Aaron Donald money because I don't think he's better than Aaron Donald. I don't think he's the best defensive player, but he should get something in that stratosphere of money.
Sure. Well, here's the deal. I don't have any problem paying him, and I don't think the Steelers do either. This is all about not even the amount that's guaranteed. It's the amount that's guaranteed when part of the deal is literally the only thing the Steelers do different than anybody else. So, for instance, when Le'Veon Bell had his holdout, they offered him actually, as of day one of year two, more money than any team actually offered him in year one of any year. So they actually offered him guaranteed money as long as he made it to day one of year two. Now, here's the thing. If you're signing a guy to a big money deal where it's front loaded anyway with the amount of money, it's not like you're going to cut him day one of year two. Like, you'd have to be pretty spiteful to cut a guy. This is this franchise that pays people more percentage of the contracts that they sign with players than any other team in the league over the last 20 years. And they paid Ryan Shazier after he had a career-ending injury. They paid him the rest of his contract. So it's not like they're not going to pay him. It's not like they don't want to pay him a lot. It's all about the structure of this deal so that they can operate a little bit this year and next year, and then even into year three. Just structuring it the way that they do, he'll end up with more guaranteed money in the next 12 months than he would with any other deal, even if he signed a franchise tag. So for me, from my standpoint, both sides have probably hit this number, and somebody just needs to step in and be like, hey, man, let's meet halfway and sign this deal tomorrow and let it be done. But the guarantee part of it is really what to look for when it comes to actually finishing the deal. He practiced today. He's going to play this whole season. I think his position
is professional. Absolutely, yeah.
I think his position is, while we're negotiating, I don't want to get injured in training camp. If I get injured in a game, that's the NFL. Like, I got to deal with that no matter what. But yeah, he's going to play this week. He's probably going to play at a super high level, and they're probably going to finish this deal before Sunday. So they've done this in the past. Troy Polamalu signed like the day before the season, I think, or 2 days before the season, back when he had one of these situations. They seem very unlikely to not sign him. So this isn't about like they don't want to pay TJ Watt. I think they're comfortable even putting on paper a deal that makes him the highest paid defender annually, even if it doesn't work out that way with the guaranteed money. Because these deals, you take the guaranteed money and you divide it by the number of years, and that's really what he's making. The rest of it is like maybe he'll see that money, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to get game plays and workout and bunch of different jargon. I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I like I mentioned before, this isn't a play that you just walk out the door. Obviously, they want to keep him around. I think they do find a way to get it done. It's just a matter of can they find a way to get it done and keep some of the other players that they're going to need to play pretty soon as well.
Well, Minkah Fitzpatrick will be in the same exact situation next year.
That's exactly what I had in mind when I said that.
And they're going to want to pay him. And unless Ben Roethlisberger plays poorly this year, they're going to have to work something out with him next year, even if it's, again, a smaller deal so that they can sign other players, which he might be amenable to. You still got stuff to deal with those three. And then you have the next line of guys, Stephon Tuitt, who may or may not, he's got some issues coming back after his brother was killed. But he's a guy that also will be in a situation where he'll be looking for a new deal, et cetera. So this is the NFL, man. You can pay guys big money, but you have to structure it in a way that allows you to build a team, or else it's silly. Then you become Jared Goff with the Rams, where they can't afford to keep him unless he's perfect.
I don't think they wanted to keep him, even if they could afford it. But speaking of quarterbacks, let's go on to the next.
Yeah,
I don't really know how to classify this. It's just a strange situation. It's not a money thing. He's already paid under contract, but what's the word with the Desean Watson situation?
He's officially not quarterback one on the depth chart. They're talking about making him run scout team. So if they make you run scout,
he has been running scout team for all of preseason. That's
right. So, but like if you
had a hefty price to pay for a scout team quarterback.
Yeah, well, they're at this impasse now because teams are waiting to see what's going to happen with him, and Houston doesn't want to be stuck playing him and incur the wrath of 50% of their fans, let's say. So I get what's happening. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to do something. It's a quote unquote Mexican standoff, man. Where not only is it a standoff, but it's like a suicidal standoff. Neither side is going to have it really work out in their favor. But Tyrod Taylor as your starter is sort of that's like the worst thing you can do, though. Like, I'm more concerned about this. The Texans have a chance to get the number one pick next year if they play their cards right.
They're absolutely going to get the number one pick.
But if you start Tyrod Taylor, you might get 3 or 4 wins and not make it there. There's other teams in the league that have got some problems too.
I hear what you're saying, but
there's Detroit, man. Have you seen Detroit?
I think about Tyrod Taylor-led teams, right? No offense to Tyrod Taylor, he's a average to above average starter in this league, but at the very least, how he performed, he had some talent around him. I don't know that he has that talent around him, at least offensively on this team. Defensively, they're definitely bad. I mean, and on top of that, right now they're sellers. So as soon as anybody presents a good offer for any of the players on their team, they're out of there. So even if it's a guy who is playing at a decent level, you can't even say, oh, well, we can depend on him all season because you know that your team is selling. So anybody is liable to go at any point. My thing, too, is like, if you have Tyrod Taylor and he gets hurt, like, what do you do then? Are you really going to go to Austin Mills, or are you going to say, all right, let's end this now, Desean, get in there? If you're Desean Watson, are you saying, all right, let me go play, knowing that you're throwing to a little mixed match group of receivers and you're going to possibly hurt yourself playing elsewhere? I mean, it's just a lot of variables in this situation right here. And I can't tell you how it's going to go, especially like right now. They want a king's ransom for Desean Watson. I get that, but
nobody's paying that right now. I mean,
they're hesitant because everyone's like, what's going to happen with all his off the football field?
I mean, look at it this way: if he ends up getting criminally charged and has to go to trial, they're going to cut the guy. So it's like, the best case scenario if you're one of those buyer teams is let the legal part of it play out. If it's really bad in 4 years or 5 years, maybe you look into like signing like Michael Vick coming out of prison, But if it's just a little bit ugly, let it fly over for a year or two, or offer a 3rd round pick or something. You might be able to get the guy. But
I don't think they're even going to take a 3rd round pick. I think because right now what it seems like is like there's no charges being filed right now, and the league is not implementing any sort of punishment. So I feel like if he can play this year, I think I would play him. As far as like seasons to come, I get that point. Let it play out. See what the league is doing and then act on it. But if I'm the Texans, I think I'm going to let him play. But it could be what you said. It could be that, you know what, we're going to give ourselves the best chance to get that number 1 pick overall, even if that means possibly going on 16.
Yikes. Play Davis Mills. I mean, Davis Mills and his surgically repaired and fragile left knee with an offensive line that may not be able to pass protect. And that sounds like a recipe for 0-16. But I just feel like I think there's a little unspoken agreement with the NFL and the Houston Texans right now. It's like if you plan to start that guy, we'll suspend it. But it's like until you commit to doing that, then you're better off just if you want to just wait and not have the guy suspended, so you have to deal with that, whatever. I don't know. It just feels like it's, they would really love him to just quit. That's what they would really like, I think.
I don't see that happening. If you're going to pay me, what is he getting, like $45 million? No, that's Mahomes. He's getting like 40 or something.
30 or 40 at least, yeah. So
it's a lot of money to not start. I don't think I'm going to quit and not collect this check. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I think right now he's in no man's land. He might as well be suspended, in terms of how it's playing out. At least if he were suspended, they don't have to pay him. So maybe I have it wrong. Maybe they're begging the league, like, please step in.
Please suspend, but the league right now, it's like, well, there's no charges pressed against them.
But that's never stopped them before. They suspended Zeke. They suspended Roethlisberger, no charges. So it's not like they haven't.
But the thing is, I think with those cases too, like the criminal investigation portion of all those cases was already finished. This one is kind of like still ongoing, even though there's no charges formally pressed, but the investigation is still ongoing. So the NFL can't really say anything until that investigation is finished.
We're waiting for the results to happen or whatever. But I mean, I'm not sure. If he were accused of murder right now,
he hadn't been suspended. That's one of those things where just the accusation is enough. But I guess sexual assault and accusation isn't enough.
It's up there, yeah.
It's up there, but hey, he's not out of the league yet. I mean, I've seen who's the guy, Greg Hardy, like domestic violence. Not even Greg Hardy, a bunch of cases. Just the accusation of domestic violence.
Frank Clark,
in
the league. Ty Hill, or not Ty Hill.
I didn't do the domestic violence. He had like child abuse.
Yeah, but I'm saying these are things that are like, bad PR things,
right.
Where
I mean, it's all bad PR. I guess there's a hierarchy to it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Not playing this week though, so it's not going to
Not playing for a lot of weeks to come.
All right.
Let's talk about some guys that will be playing, though. Let's go ahead and get into some superlatives for the upcoming season. Let's start with the big one. Who do you think is the odds-on favorite for MVP right now? And because there's like an obvious answer, I feel like I'd also want to know like a dark horse candidate for MVP.
Sure. I think for about the last 20 years, maybe even 25 years, league MVP is it's a combination of fantasy football stats and popularity contest. So this is not a measure of like who I think is the best player, because that would be it would be really wonderful if the NFL had a best player thing, but since they don't. If they did, by the way, they'd vote for it at the end of the entire season, like after the Super Bowl, right? That would be like your way of.
I would say the ESPYs is kind of
maybe,
but that's more like all sports instead of just football.
I actually think that there might be a little bit of a surprise name, and that's Tom Brady. If Tom Brady's healthy this entire year, even if he doesn't have the same flashy numbers that Mahomes or Rodgers have, I think he might be the one guy that could win it based on his value to the team. Like, so if they turn out to be like 14-3 or whatever, and are on track to go to the Super Bowl again or the number one seed in the NFC, then I think he'd have a really good chance of overcoming that stats argument. Otherwise, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson are going to win it again. They're, I don't know. Who do you? I mean, you have somebody other than those three. You want to put up Josh Allen? I mean,
as
like
a favorite. I mean, those. That's the favorite. I wasn't going to say Tom Brady. I was going to say Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that would be the obvious favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the obvious. I mean, like I think the Vegas odds have him as a landslide favorite. Josh Allen, a popular name right now. I don't know if I could call him a dark horse, but a name that's not being spoken about as much is Kyler Murray. I think he has just as good, if not a better case for MVP than, say, a Josh Allen, because he is on an offense that is going to rely on him heavy. The running game, we're not too sure what it's going to be with Chase Edmonds and James Conner. I know all too well, James Conner last year looked at times like he can run the ball. Yeah. If, they were playing against, a JV team or something like that. Chase Edmonds, he did a great job filling in last year. When Kenyon Drake was hurt. And then eventually they were just giving him the ball even when Kenyon Drake wasn't hurt. But the ball is also going to be run by Kyler Murray. But that's not what we're just going to be focusing on, because he has a great connection with DeAndre Hopkins. And we also have A.J. Green that they just brought along. And if A.J. Green can be even a small resemblance of what he was years ago with Cincinnati, I think that'll be a nice little 1-2 punch. They got some other nice young receivers that he'll be throwing the ball to. I think they could put on some great numbers. Second year in an offense with Cliff Kingsbury. I think, the sky's the limit. The potential is there. The untapped potential we'll probably see this season as well.
Well, here's what I'd say. I don't think you get any points in the MVP voting for being, extra valuable to your team, or you played on a bad offense, but you put up numbers that were incredible. Like, I think it used to be more that way. And now I just feel like it's the guy that puts up the best numbers.
The craziest numbers, yeah. That's the craziest thing. I think it's also like whoever has like the most plays that just leaves you in awe, then, you'll get MVP.
And the other thing is he doesn't play the 1:00 time slot. I think it's really works against you for popularity. So that part of it, where the voters, whether it's the official NFL voters of people that like to vote for the Hall of Fame or whatever, or vote, but it's there's an element to it that's popularity with the fan voting. It's like people don't really see that. Like, you think about where the MVPs are, they don't play in those late games. It's very rare.
I don't really worry about that, because the thing about the NFL is they'll flex a game very quickly and say, hey, these guys are doing great. We want to see more of this guy. We're going to put him in prime time.
I just meant, he's not going to play. He's not going to play 1:00 in the afternoon, though, where you get his results. You see his highlights every week right away. Playing those late games, it's like, by the time they see your highlights, it's already old news. So,
I don't think so. I think we're going to disagree on that one. I think the people who are playing those primetime games, those are the ones that more people are watching because there's less games elsewhere for you to watch. So it's like you have no choice but to watch that primetime game.
Who's the last MVP? Who's the last MVP that didn't play in the 1:00 Eastern time zone?
How many games in primetime did Mahomes win in his MVP?
Oh yeah, but I'm saying Mahomes, they play at noon Kansas City time. They play
noon too, but they play a ton of primetime games, you know?
Right. I mean, of course it's true now. I just meant that, if you play those later games, if that's what your normal schedule is until they put you in prime time or whatever, or you're playing on the East Coast, then, I feel like you are at a disadvantage for the MVP voting. And I think the history of the award would support that idea. It's like the Heisman. It's the same exact thing with the Heisman. If you play on the East Coast or you play in the SEC and that Eastern time zone, you're much more likely to be a Heisman candidate than you are if you're out west.
Gotcha.
Your eyeballs.
Was Brady your dark horse candidate?
Yeah, I guess Brady's my dark horse candidate, and I'll sort of be surprised if. I would think Rodgers. I guess I'll make Aaron Rodgers a favorite. Mahomes has a brand new offensive line, 5 new starters. Not that I think it will necessarily hurt him, but I picked up a clue from them in preseason. I think they might try to run the ball a lot this year. It's especially in their first game against Cleveland. That's Cleveland's Achilles heel. So
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me if you have a more controlled Patrick Mahomes earlier in the season, and then they open it up a bit for the stretch run and the playoffs. So he might not have the gigantic numbers he once had. Whereas Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to put up the numbers. So dark horse Tom Brady. I expect Aaron Rodgers to be the front runner, and wouldn't surprise me entirely if Patrick Mahomes won because he's Patrick Mahomes. That's my official answer. I'm sticking with it. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I gave mine. I think Kyler Murray that'll be a dark horse, and I still think favors Patrick Mahomes. Just the arm talent is unbelievable. And we saw what he did in the Super Bowl as far as like him not having the best offensive line. He'll find a way to make those throws regardless. I think what they definitely need is exactly what you pointed out, more of a run game, because that hurt them in the Super Bowl. They couldn't run the ball at all. You need that second dimension to your offense. Otherwise, they're just going to sit back in coverage and send everybody at you like the Buccaneers did.
Yep.
So you also mentioned that the award isn't necessarily given to the best player. Who would you say is going to be the best player this season?
Oh, I mean, well, it could segue nicely into our next conversation, which is going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. I think probably, Aaron Donald is the front runner for that.
Right.
It depends what you think about, sort of positional value. I guess you could make a little bit of an argument for a guy like TJ Watt. Mm-hmm. Because it's just been, largely dominating. It feels like a position that the edge rusher used to be the position in the NFL, other than quarterback, so you could make maybe a better argument. Now interior defensive line may be a more premium position than edge rusher. So I guess I'll say Aaron Donald for right now. The other guy I think nobody talks about, but a guy like Quentin Nelson, who's not healthy right now, may not start the season, but there's another guy that, is a great player. Is he the most valuable player in the league? I don't know at that position, but
that'll be a hell of a take from you. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good. I mean, I like guys who are, outliers at their position, but I tend to view best player in the league as, the best, let's put it this way, the best quarterback in the league statistically or fantasy football wise is not necessarily the best football player who plays quarterback. Mm-hmm. So that's what I love about Brady and Russ Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger. I feel like those guys are just gamers, man. Like they're really good football players. They're not the best quarterbacks in the league, but they're really good players, especially over the course of their careers. But Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, I'm going to say Aaron Donald again. It's his title to lose until you knock him out. My dark horse would be TJ Watt, and I guess I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Myles Garrett won it. Let's say Cleveland has their best season they've had in 30 years. Could Myles Garrett get some play for that? Sure.
You got to leave something on the plate for me here. You're just gonna
sorry, bud. Go ahead.
You're gonna take all the names. Now it's like I can't just repeat what you say. I mean,
you might have a corner. Maybe you got a corner or a safety.
A corner or a safety? When's the last time a corner or a safety?
Did Ed Reed win?
Defensive player of the year?
Troy Polamalu, one of those guys.
I feel like Polamalu, maybe, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah. But though that's once in a blue. There's a ton of great safeties. I don't know if any of them I would say for sure is going to be like a favorite over an Aaron Donald. Maybe a dark horse. I don't know. If I did have to go with the dark horse, well, I do have to go to dark horse. I wouldn't say safety. I would go with what the trend is. Pass rushers come at a premium. And I think Chandler Jones, who may also be a candidate for comeback player of the year, missed a ton of games last season. The year before that, led the league in sacks. And I think he has J.J. Watt now to take some of the attention off of him. Got a bunch of new defensive weapons. Partnered up with him. He's got Budda Baker back there. They got Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons. He came on late strongly last season.
So somebody's been paying attention to the Cardinals offseason.
It's crazy. I haven't watched a single offseason game from. These are just names I'm remembering. And I remember looking, okay, it was like a fantasy draft, and I'm looking at the Cardinals. I'm like, they've got some pieces. I could probably take a chance on this defense just because the name value is there. And, I liked how they played late last season. But Chandler Jones coming back from injury, he gets to the pass rusher a ton. He's been a good player in this league. I think that's definitely a dark horse candidate if he could put up those sack numbers like he did 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good dark horse candidate since I didn't leave you much room. And as far as comeback player of the year, since we're talking about that, I think he'd be one of the front runners. Dak Prescott, of course.
Yeah, obviously.
Would be another, especially because the injury was just so, viscerally bad. But that, as far as defensive player of the year, the only secondary guy, it's a combination, once again, of popularity and how good you are. Tyrann Mathieu maybe would be a guy that, if things broke right for him, but I don't see that happening. It just feels like it's Aaron Donald's to lose. And, I just feel like you're going to have a tough time now that he's entrenched, getting him off of that nod. What about Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, offense or defense first?
Defense first.
Defense first. I want to say Zaven Collins. I really, really want to say Zaven Collins. But Azeez Ojulari from the Giants, there's just so much buzz about him. Knowing the Giants, too, they just need a pass rusher. They have that need. They've had that need. And it's still, the other thing, too, is I feel like they have some good pieces in New York where it's like Azeez is not going to be the main guy that other teams are going to focus on. They're going to want to stop Leonard Williams primarily. So I feel like you get that other piece on the defensive line or a stand-up linebacker who's going to rush the quarterback. And apparently that's exactly what Azeez Ojulari is good at. That's what they are banking on him to do, and that's what everybody is raving about right now. So I feel like that's a nice little defensive Rookie of the Year candidate right there. How about you?
Yeah, I kind of think I think maybe JOK from Cleveland might be a guy that
I think you just like saying JOK too.
Yeah, well, I was trying to remember to be sure that I could say his whole name, but I know it's Jeremiah Owusu. Koromoa.
Okay.
There you go. Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa. I memorized it for the draft, but it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I feel like he's in a situation where they desperately needed help in the middle of the field and to chase down the run plays so they don't get chewed up by that. And he seems to be a guy with the penchant for being flash plays, stuff that stands out. Zaven Collins to me is a guy that's capable of that and probably more likely than JOK. But I also feel like he's more of a guy that is subtle. Like it takes a little while to appreciate it. He's really just a solid player who makes plays everywhere. Whereas, JOK, I think, might pop off your screen once in a while and you're like, wow, look at that guy, whether he does it more consistently or not. But I feel like those are two pretty good choices. I like your choice actually. I would say,
offense.
I would say I would like to say Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is just going to be in a position where they're going to feed him the ball and he's good. But feels like Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson plays like he did in the preseason, and that team goes from being absolutely nothing to, a team that is maybe able to finish second in their division, which wouldn't be outrageous. Third, like it's going to be sort of the AFC East quarterbacks, Mac Jones and and Zach Wilson, like which one makes their team into like the second best team in their division might be the difference.
Are we just going to discount Miami? Because assuming you're saying the Bills are the best team, we're just going to discount Miami.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, quarterback, second best quarterback.
Okay, so we're discounting Tua. Saying Tua.
I mean, I would say that's healthy. It's a healthy competition now in that division. But I don't know. I just felt like Zach Wilson seemed to be, like he may not be the best quarterback in this draft class 5 years from now, but I feel like he's a little bit ahead of the other guys this minute. Whether it's just because of the team situation he's got going. It's not a lot better than the other guys, but it's at least it feels like they're good. It's a good match, and I really like what with his new coaching staff there is doing. I feel like that team's going to have a little bit of a turnaround and probably make him look good for one season. But Najee Harris is like, if you're going to vote, if running backs can win this award, then yeah. But I don't know. Do you think running backs are valued that way anymore?
I don't think so. Just the league itself, it's a quarterback-driven league. Like all the teams who've recently won a Super Bowl, I feel like all of them have had a really good quarterback. Maybe like one or two exceptions, but yeah, it's a quarterback-driven league. Most of these awards are going to be quarterback-driven. I feel like the only one that's not is like Offensive Player of the Year or obviously Defensive Player of the Year. But Offensive Player of the Year, I feel like they just give to the best non-quarterback since you had a great season, you were never going to win the MVP award.
Right.
Rookie of the Year,
It's gonna be a quarterback.
It's probably gonna be a quarterback, but I'm gonna buck the trend. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a Jalen Waddle.
It's interesting. Yeah,
I'm not 100% sold on Tua. I am sold on this defense that they have brewing over there. I am sold on the coaching staff that had these guys playing lights out in position to make a playoff run. And you know what? I'm going to buy it a little bit that Tua is much better than he was last year. And I'm going to place a lot of emphasis on this one drive that I saw them have where Tua just felt as he looked the best I've ever seen when he was throwing at Jalen Waddle, a guy that he has that chemistry with, that he's comfortable with. And there's one drive, and he targeted him about 7 times in this one drive. And I just feel like it's a sign of things to come for the season.
Out of the future, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have that chemistry right off the back with him. He's going to get a ton of targets at the very least. If this is a playoff team, I think that this wild take is going to get a lot more traction, and people are going to start noticing Jalen Waddle. Well, people are already noticing, but they're going to start putting his name in that Rookie of the Year race.
All right, quickly, Offensive Player of the Year. Who's the best non-quarterback?
Best non-quarterback. I mean, again, it's the award for non-quarterbacks because you never could win MVP. I feel like it's going to be a running back. I feel like it's going to be the running back. Was it a running back? Did he win it last year? I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth. I'm going to just go and say it's going to be Derrick Henry. Right now, he's hands down the best pure running back in all of the NFL. He might not give you a ton as far as catching the ball, but I don't know a lot of guys in the NFL who would be happy to want to tackle him one-on-one in open field. And the thing about him is, like, he's so huge, but he's so fast. So you think you're just going to die for the legs, and it doesn't work. You say, I'm going to get the courage to tackle him up high. He's either going to run through you or put a stiff arm through you. And he's just so good, so big, and so fast. And it's just so entertaining. As a former running back, I just like to watch him.
I guess I'll give you a dark horse. That's a good choice. I'll give you a dark horse. Stephon Diggs from Buffalo.
I like that.
I think the thing about him is he is the main target there. I mean, Devontae Adams would be a guy in the same sort of boat. That so much of the offense goes through him, and yet that nobody can really stop him. Nobody has completely obliterated that guy from the game plan in any game they played since he's been there. So I feel like he's in a good situation because of the surrounding talent. But just if I have to pick one, Derrick Henry I think is a pretty good choice for that. He's Jerome Bettis without necessarily the quick feet, but with a lot more top end speed, and right away it's like that the guy's in the Hall of Fame.
What a blast from the past with the bus reference there.
Well, it's like how many running backs are Derrick Henry's size? There's not that many guys to compare him to.
I mean, I think you had Brandon Jacobs, but he was never this good.
He was Brandon Jacobs was in the Hall of the Very Good for like 5 years.
Yeah, but never this good. Even in his best year, never this.
And Jude, we're counting on you to listen and watch now. Hit the like button below. Follow us on Facebook and on Spreaker and on YouTube and other places where we appear. It's Old School, New School Football. Jude, a pleasure. Fist bumping.
Next week. Be there. Be square.
Be square.